everybody, welcome back to Dalton Oddity. How you doing today? I'm Dalton, and this is part 2 of turning my home into Adventureland from Disneyland. Today I'm going to show you guys how I made these really cool Enchanted Tiki drummers. Let's do it. As always, I start by finding a good reference image. Then I bring it into Adobe Illustrator to create a simple pattern that we can work off of. The main tiki drummer in the middle here, I could not find a good reference image of, so I had to go ahead and just draw him myself. I then print them out across multiple pages, full size, and tape them together like a puzzle. For the main drummer, I first cut the legs off of the pattern and then trace the whole body and head onto 1-inch XPS foam and cut it out. Then the rest of the face I cut out in layers of 1/2-inch XPS foam as well as the legs. For the side drummers, it's pretty much the exact same process. I first cut out all of the bodies minus the arms, then I cut out the arms, legs, and head separately, cutting out 2 of each for each of the 4 side drummers. Then I glue all of the layers together using some hot glue, and I go in with a very sharp blade around all the edges just to level everything out. Now the face has all these raised details on it, but I didn't want to use any more of the XPS foam because it was too thick. So I first cut the mouth and eye areas out of the pattern. Then I traced the mouth with the teeth still on it on some 2mm EVA foam. I then cut the teeth off of the pattern and cut the mouth without the teeth onto some 5mm EVA foam as well as the eyes. Using some contact cement, I glued the 2 parts of the mouth together, and then I attached everything to the face with some hot glue like so. For the drums, I glued 2 pieces of 2-inch XPS foam together with some spray adhesive to make a 4-inch block of foam. I traced the drum onto the front of it and cut it out using my hot wire table. It is so much easier to use a hot wire when cutting out foam that is this thick. If you try and use a blade, it's just not gonna work. Just like with the side drummers, I used some 5mm EVA foam to add the face details as well as a trim around the top of each drum. Now that all the pieces are cut out, it is time to head out to the garage and carve in all the details. For this, I'm going to be using a soldering iron. Of course, it is always extremely important to work in a well-ventilated area and use proper respiratory protection when melting polystyrene. Those fumes are toxic. I use the soldering iron to carve in any details I want to on the faces or carve in any holes. And I also use it to add a wood grain texture to all the foam. I'm doing the arms separately here, as you can see, just because it's a little bit easier to get to all the little places on them if they're not attached to the body already. Before heading inside, I cut some bases out of some 1x6 boards, and then it is time to go back inside and glue everything together. I'm going to be using a combination of my absolute favorite adhesive for XPS foam, and that is Loctite's Power Grab. Chef's kiss, that stuff is amazing. And I'll also be using some hot glue because I was working on all these projects at the same time and I started to run out. I glue the drummers to the wooden bases and then glue on their corresponding arms and legs, but I keep the drums separate just to make painting a bit easier. Now, before painting, I want to prime these guys with some PVA glue. This should hopefully help seal the EVA foam parts so that the paint adheres the same to them as it does to the rest of the XPS foam, and we get a nice even texture everywhere. After everything is nice and primed, I go over with a pale yellow, similar to the same color as the wooden base. Once that dries, I paint all the details like the eyes, mouth, nose, and the squiggly lines on the arms and legs, whatever color they are supposed to be. Then I heavily dilute some brown paint with some water and apply this all over, even on the wood base. This brown wash is what gives everything that nice stained wood kind of look that the drummers have in the tiki room. The reason we paint it yellow is because the wood is yellow before it's stained. So once we put on this brown dark wash, the wooden base and the fake wood of the tiki drummers looks very similar. Lastly, I darken up a few of the deeper areas by dry brushing on a little bit of black paint. And then I glue the drums onto the bases, and our drummers are complete! These guys will be paired with the singing totems from last week's video to turn the living room into the enchanted tiki room. It's gonna be epic. Make sure to like and subscribe below if you want to follow the rest of my journey of turning my house into Adventureland from Disneyland. But that being said, that's all I got for you this week, guys. Y'all stay safe, please, and I'll see y'all real soon. Hey.